Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports, the local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
Like him or not, Kevin Durant has handled his final chapter in Phoenix with a lot of class and a lot of professionalism. Will that change in the near future? Will he become an obstructionist to a potential deal with Minnesota or Toronto, forcing the Suns to take a lesser offer elsewhere? And how will fans feel if the Suns get fleeced because Durant wouldn't play for a team that reached the Western Conference Finals 2 years running? Will Durant become the enemy in Phoenix, subject to the same kind of treatment he currently gets in Oklahoma City? Either way, it's becoming quite clear this divorce might get messy. Now, can the Suns talk KD into going to Minnesota? I'm guessing no. In fact, Mark Spears just reported that Anthony Edwards is not going to get involved and attempt to change KD's mind. And if KD doesn't want the Timberwolves, I'm guessing he's not changing his mind about Toronto. So what can the Suns do to get Houston or San Antonio to come correct? Maybe the Suns need to announce that this isn't the final chapter, that KD is off the market and part of their team moving forward. That will give them something to think about if the Suns have the stomach for that kind of high-stakes poker. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
Ant-Man, and you were in the Olympics. We were there. Katie and Ant-Man were joined at the hip the whole time. So I think a lot of people are wondering, is Ant-Man trying to recruit him? What is he doing? I heard Ant-Man's in Atlanta working on his game, eating lemon pepper wings. He's not involved. He's not trying to change his mind. He's been in the Western Conference 2 times in a row. The team's really good. So if Katie doesn't want to come, I think he's respecting that and don't expect him to fly to L.A. to try to change his mind.
Come on, Ant. Don't you want to play with your idol?
Yeah. I'm sure Anthony Edwards is very not happy about this, but I also don't think Anthony Edwards sees himself as an inferior to the point where he's going to go begging for Kevin Durant.
No. Man, we haven't heard about lemon pepper wings in Atlanta since
lemon
the bubble.
pepper, yeah. How about it?
Lou
Williams, the lemon pepper wings.
Dream City. What was
something
what
like
was
that?
Called?
Mm-hmm.
Lemon pepper.
The lemon pepper wings.
Look, they say in life, don't ever meet your heroes. I wonder if there's an element from Anthony Edwards' side. Look, I love the guy. He's my favorite player of all time. Do I want to play with him? Do I want to jeopardize what I feel and think about Kevin Durant? I don't know. I think everything's on the table right now. But
yeah.
For Anthony Edwards not trying to recruit, which recruitment is a big thing in today's NBA and in all professional sports. Yeah. When there's somebody that's available, that happens. Now you're pulling him off the market, making the announcement.
You'd have to have an iron stomach and iron nerve to do something like that.
Yeah.
But it would change the dynamics. It would change the calculus. Because then KD would have to declare whether he's cool with that.
Well, you create scarcity.
You create
urgency.
Uh-huh.
If Anthony Edwards were just kind of hell-bent on recruiting KD, getting him to Minnesota, I want to play with my favorite player, and he was verbal about that to Minnesota, then I think there would be a lot more push from their camp to be like, Suns, what would it take for you to kind of look the other way with Durant's feelings?
Yeah, but remember your perception after Minnesota got eliminated in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
You thought Anthony Edwards' response was kind of a laissez-faire.
Very much so.
Like, I'm going to get back here again. I'm not
broken up about this. With a different set of cats. I ain't broken up. Better things are coming.
And you kind of speculated, he knew KD was on the way.
Mm-hmm.
And this flies in the face of that, which I find interesting.
Yeah, or maybe he was expecting the Timberwolves to make that happen, and he'd never even fathomed that KD wouldn't be willing to come there because Minnesota was involved at the trade deadline last season.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, yeah. I don't know how they're going to generate leverage. That is a way to do it. If you kind of say, okay, you know what, you'd have to really play it off though.
Well,
because then you're going to get KD's attention, and then maybe they get worried. Are they serious? Are they really going to run it back?
That might be the end result in this whole thing, but maybe not by choice. And I want to play this again for you.
Right.
This is Brian Windhorst from ESPN appearing on a radio show on ESPN Cleveland.
It's a real stare down. You know, Desmond Bane got traded for 4 first-round picks, and I see people saying, "Oh my God, if Desmond Bane gets traded for 4 first-round picks, Kevin Durant's got to get 6 first-round picks." No, you're not going to get that great of a package because the team paying for it isn't sure what Durant's going to do necessarily. And the teams that Durant wants to go to, Houston and San Antonio, for example, they're leery of paying a huge amount for a 37-year-old. Their whole teams are in their early to mid-20s.
Right.
You know? So you don't have alignment in making everybody getting on the same page. You know, what Durant wants, what the Suns need, what the teams want to pay
right.
with the contract. I would not rule out the Suns not being able to get a trade they like and having to make a decision like, do we not trade him at all?
And I wonder if that is a possibility. People, and we played the sound from Tony Kornheiser describing Kevin Durant as miserable. I wouldn't characterize it at that.
No,
even
he's
after
not
the
been
trade
that at all.
deadline, I think he was Kevin Durant. He played good basketball after the trade deadline when all that weirdness happened. And I remember him being interviewed saying, and somebody prefaced the question by saying, "Hey, you've been through this before," and he corrected them and said, "No, I've never
You're
been
right.
through this before."
I forgot about that.
Not, being dangled at the trade deadline without my knowing.
Yeah.
That's never happened before. But he conducted himself as a professional.
He did.
And I wonder if, God forbid, they go down that road and they explore all these possibilities with all these teams and work with Kevin Durant and Rich Kleiman. They can't come to any kind of conclusion. Is this workable moving forward? Okay. I don't know if it is.
This is why the strategy shift in my blast might be really their only option, but they'd have to be convincing about it. Because, again, if the Houston Rockets have put together a package that they want to trade for Kevin Durant, it means they've had a lot of discussions internally. They've probably talked to team leaders. They've created a lot of internal excitement about getting Kevin Durant. Would they let all that go over a Reed Shepherd? Would they let all that go over a single asset in the trade? Only if they believe the Suns are going to walk away from the deal that's on the table. Right?
Yeah.
You've got to be able to walk away from a deal and mean it if you are going to get better terms. And I think in the case of here, I don't know what's going to get Houston to budge, but the fact that they've got an offer on the table tells you they are interested.
Yeah.
And so that might have to be the way you play this thing.
Because a wild scenario in which Durant does not get traded this offseason, him playing basketball for the Phoenix Suns would A, be mind-blowing for me in that we didn't make a trade, and B, also, it immediately becomes, now, what are you going to do with him? Are you going to let him play out his contract? Are you going to try to trade him at the deadline for maybe Houston comes to the, again, realization they have no one to score the ball in the fourth quarter, and then they throw in that asset.
Yep.
At the deadline,
but
or teams will panic.
That is also an incredibly risky proposition for the Kevin Durant side of things.
No doubt.
At age 37, to not have a contract past this year. I think, honestly, if it got to that point where it's such a stalemate, that list of locations that Kevin Durant would be interested in playing in would grow.
Yes, maybe, and maybe that's the path to get Minnesota, to get Kevin Durant to change his mind.
So we can expect to be talking about this until September, is what you're saying?
Wow.
That'd be nightmare fuel.
Right?
We talked about the possibility of a Kevin Durant trade to Phoenix for almost a calendar year. Mm-hmm. So.
You're right about that. What's going to last longer? The speculation about the Kevin Durant trade coming or the Kevin Durant trade going?
I just had another thought, too, because we got a lot of time to piece all these things together. The list of Kevin Durant destinations that he prefers, Houston, San Antonio, Miami. We talked about the weather factor. We talked about the no state tax factor. Mm-hmm. How about the fact that all three of those organizations already have multiple championships? So that pressure to come in and elevate is not necessarily as high as it would be for a Minnesota or, I mean, Toronto's got one, but not multiple championships. I don't know, just something to think about.
Yeah. The other thing real quickly, and I'm sure you saw this as well, some clarity has come out of the New York situation as why the Knicks didn't want Kevin Durant. Apparently, James Dolan is still angry at KD because he really thought KD and Kyrie were coming in the summer of, what would that have been when they went to Brooklyn instead?
2019.
2019? Okay, it was 19, yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that sounds perfectly James Dolan-esque.
Yeah.
Bro, get over it.
And KD at that point in time said the Knicks are corny.
Well, they were.
They were. No, you're right. They were. They kind of were.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.